And let me make sure this is recording. It says it's recording. Okay. Welcome, Joy. This is
Thank you, Dr. Elena.
This is a YouTube recording. So we're going to be looking at your noble energy map and what it means. And it will be a public reading. If
Okay.
it's anything you'd rather not be on public, please let me know.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, I will share my screen. I start out with the Mandala of synthesis, which is what is coded in to the noble energy maps. And we begin with looking at you 3 months before you were born, which would have put you in the astrological degrees that correspond to the 15th hexagram of the I Ching. When you were born, the sun had moved to the 46th hexagram. And 3 months after your birth, the sun will have moved to the 11th hexagram. In my work, based on the human design system and its charts and the science that expanded it, I went from 3 months before birth to 3 months after birth, because a baby is not fully developed for the first 3 months of their life. And at that time, they have everything they need to be fully actualized, as directed in the Tree of Life. The Mandala of synthesis is based on the chakras and the Tree of Life, with the paths of intelligence in the Tree of Life, the astrological wheel, where we take all the birth data and then see its correlation with different lines and, because of its degrees, hexagrams of the I Ching. And then that is put into a body map. The body map looks like this. The human design is only the conscious waking reality, 3 months before birth to birth, in the mental waking world. I use 4 worlds: the mental waking world, the spiritual dream world that happens during REM sleep, the emotional angelic world, which takes emotional energy and reactivity of the physical world and transforms it into compassion and love via intuition. And the reason I show you the wheel is that we begin with the prenatal calculation in the mental waking world, and we end with the postnatal calculation in the mental waking world. So we're living in conscious reality, but so much of who we are is unconscious or subconscious. And we can change how we relate and what we are perceiving on unconscious and superconscious levels of our awareness. So this is the 4 worlds, and I have scientifically validated that these worlds are indeed scientifically documented. The mental waking world is 3 months before birth and 3 months after birth. The spiritual world is a week before and after birth. And that correlates with when the spirit enters the fetus, and postnatally, when in many cultures we name a baby or there's a ceremony. In Judaism, it's the bris. In Catholicism, it's baptism. In other cultures, they don't name the baby for a week. The emotional angelic world is 2 days before and after birth, and it correlates with when the baby drops and the mother's hormones shift, and when attachment happens, when the colostrum in the mother turns to milk, and attachment really happens. And then an hour and a half before and after birth is when transition of labor happens, or the baby's breathing on its own and is fully independent. So that's all developmentally and physiologically documented. And then I look at what happens at birth, postnatal, and composite. In the composite design, you would be considered a manifesting generator, meaning you can make things happen and you're a very strong person. I will tell you how that plays out over time and where you're vulnerable and where you're strong. My latest book, The Science of Human Design, presents all the documentation of the science and what held in the human design chart, what didn't, and it also includes a factor analysis that I did that shows that we live in 4 worlds. So in reading your chart, I'm going to be looking at these worlds. And these worlds, the mental waking, spiritual archetypal, emotional angelic, and physiologic. Now notice the solar plexus only exists in the mental waking world and the physical biological world. You following me so far? Okay. And I use the tree of life a lot. I won't spend time on it, but I will refer to the paths of intelligence and how they operate in you. So these are your charts. You were born September 22nd, 1979 at 11:05 a.m. in Singapore, correct? Okay. In human design, you would have been told that you are a manifesting generator, but you would have been told you're a split definition. You are somebody who is very intuitive. You know things about people. You know things and where to put yourself. You have a good instinct about that. You know which role to play for people. However, when I look at the inner world, I see that you know what you know, and sometimes you put yourself aside for the other person. And at times that can be very depleting for you because you are so sensitive to the energy and emotions of others. You can be emotionally reactive and get stirred up emotionally. So the important component for you comes in a week after you were born, when the 58/18th channel that goes from the root to the splenic center and then activates the 48th hexagram. So I'm going to flip to the composite design. I'm going to make it bigger because that's so important in how you function, Joy. You are very sensitive to the energy of the people around you. Do you know that about yourself?
Yes.
When you are with people, you get an instinctive feeling, intuitive. If you wait a week and mull over what it is you're perceiving or perceived, you are likely to know when somebody is tuning into their own core versus telling something that doesn't ring true with their soul. Does that make sense to you the way I'm saying it? Or do I need to say it a different way?
Can you elaborate on it, like with reference to my own feelings or
When
other
I
people?
look at your birth chart, I see that you're intuitive, and I see that you have the 18th hexagram and you have the 16th, and it does get up through the sacral center to the throat. So you know what you know when you know it. You can't always explain it, and you can't always explain why your sense about somebody makes you a little reluctant to commit to what you know about them. You need more data. You need them to speak more or act more or tell you more before you know where to be vis-a-vis them. You have the splenic center, but notice that you then lose it and then you gain it back. So it's as though, I'm talking from knowing the 5818, the 4816, because it's in all of my designs. And it's in every single chart. And as a clinical psychologist who's been in practice for more than 50 years, when I'm with a patient and they're telling me something, I can hear if it rings true on a soul level for them. And so I always say, when you know what you know and no one can tell you you don't know, you're not stubborn or selfish, you're aligned. Now, you pick up intuitively and psychically if someone is speaking from their truth. And if you're not so sure, you need to wait. Because if you ask them some questions, and if you say something to them that you know is true because you're psychic, you know you're psychic, correct?
I don't really associate that word with myself, but yeah, I know things. My instinct is quite strong.
Very strong. And when you know you're right, you know you're right.
Yeah.
And when you're not quite sure if you're right, if you wait a week, you know. So when you have a major decision in your life, wait a week. You have a very strong sense of your inner direction. However, the second hexagram is Chiron. So, Joy, you are a healer. What do you do as a profession? Do you know you're a
Um,
healer?
yeah, I do, but I tend to do things in a unconventional way.
Not unconventional for you.
No, I'm just being me.
Um, you're doing things that align spiritually. I want to show you something in the Tree of Life. Now remember, when I showed you these 4 images, I showed you that the solar plexus only exists in the physical, biological, and mental waking world, not in the world of spirit. In the tree of life, we have what we call the paths of intelligence. There are 32 paths, and those paths go from the sacral center to the root, to the splenic center, and then from the sacral center to the splenic center. And then it goes back. So 32, 31, 30, 29 goes from the root to the splenic, to the solar plexus, from the sacral to the solar plexus, and then critically from the solar plexus to the splenic. This 27th path of intelligence is shown by the Tower card. Now, the Tower card says, not everything in the real world is true. And when you're emotionally reactive, solar plexus, and you have the heart center to the solar plexus, which is one factor in the factor analysis of the body map, you have the sacral to the self to the throat, which is another factor. And then we have the splenic to the sacral to the root, which you have here. And then we have the crown and the ajna, which you have, connecting through a portal to the spiritual world. You are highly spiritual. You know what you know when you know it. You know things about people, and you can transform emotional energy for other people if you do not get emotional yourself. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, some people
Some,
like to confide in me.
you what?
Some people like to confide in me.
Yes. A lot of people confide in you. And when you see somebody agitated or not being themselves, you try to help.
Yeah,
You cannot help yourself, you help.
yeah.
And you are a creative thinker spiritually. So when they're telling you their story, you can hear threads of repetition in what seems like disparate events. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
If somebody says to you, I had this experience and this experience and this experience, you can see the thread that connects them emotionally.
mm.
And you can tell them what to do to change their emotions into consciousness.
Uh, I think like my brain works very fast when someone gives me the information what's going on, but I do try my best not to suggest, which is sometimes challenging for me because I intuitively know what they should do. But as a coach, you're trained to ask questions and all that, but I know what I know. So it can become like a conflict, it can
What
become
you
like a
can do, Joy, in my book, Living from Soul, which is on Amazon, I talk about the four worlds. Now, as a clinician, one of my searches clinically, because I specialized very early on as a sex therapist and a relationship therapist and coach. And what I noticed was that mental world language didn't work for couples. And it didn't work when I was trying to access spiritual components for someone. So when you're dealing with a spiritual misalignment, you want to use what's called clean language. Questions that do not suggest, but do not have kinesthetic, visual, or auditory cues in the language of the question. So it's questions like, and given this, what do you know about it now? You get what I'm going at?
Mm,
So
mm,
there's in my book, when I break up the worlds and I break it into mental world with questions you would ask in the mental world, spiritual world, questions you would ask in the spiritual world, emotional world. Now, you are, by your design, and let me go back to the composite because you see, you have the 59, 6, 40, 37, and then it gets up to the throat. Now, in your designs, where does that happen? It happens 3 months after you were born that you got the 59. My guess, and let's look at your astrology. Oh, oh, oh. You have your sun in Virgo, your moon in Libra, and your ascendant in Sagittarius.
yes.
Now, you have your North Node on your midheaven. It's a wide orb between your Virgo planets, not wide orbs between the moon, Venus, Mercury. And it's interesting that Saturn and Pluto are a whole sign apart, both 18 degrees. You have a grand trine between the North Node, South Node, and your ascendant. You always know more than you say you know. True?
Mm, I think sometimes I doubt myself.
Yes. You doubt yourself because you want to be very specific and you do not want to upset the balance and the harmony when you know that there's I want to say a minuscule amount of balance in a person who's unbalanced. You don't want to upset their balance, even if it's fragile, and you feel it. I'm going to show you another chart. These are called dwads. Now, what that is if in astrology we take a 30-degree sign. Do you know astrology, Joy?
Um, yeah, but I'm not that knowledgeable about it.
Okay. So in astrology, every 30 degrees can be broken into another whole 360-degree zodiac. And each 2.5 degrees of that 30 degrees is another sign. So I took your chart, put it in the computer, and we got the undercurrent of each sign. So your sun in Virgo has an undercurrent in the fifth house of Leo. The moon has an undercurrent of Sagittarius. And what this is telling me, when I look at it this way, is that you have extremely strong values. True?
Yes.
And your consciousness is very intense. When you feel something, you feel it pretty deeply. And you know what you know when you know it. And you sometimes, you do not doubt your awareness. What you doubt is how you can communicate your awareness in a healing way to the other person. Correct?
Um, yeah, it's difficult to communicate with other people because you can see and you know that nobody else can see and know, and people are always looking for proof, but you just know you can't prove. So yes, it can get very frustrating. And how do you communicate that? How do you present that in a way that makes sense for them?
You ask clean language questions. I put some of them in my Living from Soul book. Uh, right now, this is your progressed chart. I'm going to make it a tiny bit bigger. See if I can get it. Yeah, this is better. You can see this okay?
Yes.
Okay. Um, we have an aspect cosmically right now between Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. Your second house and your progressed ascendant happens to be in your second house. Your progressed moon is in your seventh house in Gemini or in your 12th house in Scorpio. I think what's going on, it's a good time for you to put your work out in front of the public. I don't know what that means for you.
Okay, so this is perfect because I was going to ask you, I do mental health stuff. My background is positive psychology. I went into music for mental health a year ago because I felt like no one was doing that, and that suits me because I'm artistic, and it kind of blend my intellectual need and my artistic need. So I've been doing it for actually exactly a year from today. It's been a year. So oh, it's so interesting, and I'm having this reading with you. So okay, so um
It is time for you to go public.
so that's the intention for the second year of Sassy Joy Music. So I have all these plans, YouTube and what's not. So I would like to know what does my chart say and how should I go about it? Am I moving in the right direction?
You're moving in the right direction. Um, Present what you're doing as a healing modality for emotional energy.
Yeah, that's actually exactly right. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. And not everybody is going to understand the
I
depth,
know.
the depth of what your work accesses in the unconscious. Um, my moon is 3 degrees of Scorpio. And the Scorpio is very intense and it's deep. So you need to translate into concrete language what you're doing, or people won't fully understand it. And what you're doing is you're using the music to transform the emotional energy. Do you use tuning forks at all?
Um, Something that I've been very interested in. I actually there's solfeggio frequencies in my music that is embedded underneath. So there's all the subtle things that people may or may not be aware of. So I present what is kind of presentable, acceptable to people, but underneath it, there's other things going on. And but it's all about packaging because you just sell them what they think they're buying, and then I come in with my real intention is kind of what I'm doing, being very subtle about the whole thing, presenting in a way that's fun, that is, oh, this is Afro house music, this is earth drums, but that's because in my heart I know that's very healing.
Keep doing it. The time is right. And as long as you present it in a somewhat grounded way, the most important thing, I think, for you personally is to give the benefits. If you talk about the benefits of what you're doing to that person, if you're doing it on YouTube, to the people listening, how should they listen to it? And what benefit can they expect? And I think, looking at your chart, since you're a transformer of emotional angst to spiritual alignment, that's what you're doing. Did I get that?
Yeah.
Um, Try to put it in a language that's a little bit more grounded than esoteric. And present it to people as a way that they can activate not just, how do I want to say it? What I'm looking at here is the 11th house, which is primarily Libra. And it's the midheaven conjunct Pluto, conjunct progressed midheaven, conjunct natal Pluto, and then activating all of the 10th house. So I'm going to stop the sharing. What you want people to believe that it's an art form, but it's an art form that's healing.
Yes.
So they don't need to understand what's happening. They only need to hear and feel, correct?
So in the new year, I plan to move beyond the music, beyond the healing, and bringing in their um, mental health hacks, like Qigong and whatever body padding, laughter yoga, and then, bringing in, because I was trained myself to be a DJ because of this, bringing in the performance element. So making it very somatic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's not just listening. So year one was just about the music. Year two is about embodiment, I guess is the word. So my goal for the second year is really community, right? Embodiment, community. It all comes together. The whole point of making the music
It'll be very successful.
is to build
And
community
look at how
around.
your t-shirt is the tree of life.
And I haven't worn this for a very long time, and like I'm wearing it today, and I didn't realize we have a Zoom today, and today is also the 1 year. I didn't realize today is the 1 year of Sassy Joy Music. So it's just
God's
yeah,
hand.
it just feels wow, something is happening.
It will, I think you're on the right track from your chart, and that as long as you put it in an understandable language and pay attention to the values, um, undercurrent values, because that's going to attract the community.
So personally, there's a part of me that's very excited about what's going on. Like I've been waiting for this moment. But I know the music has to come out first. So I spent 1 year just focusing on building the right music with the right vibration. So the moment has finally come where I've done my groundwork. The cement is done. Let's build the house, right? So I've been waiting for this. Yet there's also the other part of me that's like I think in some ways I was also hiding behind the music. I didn't have to be seen, and it was just, putting the music out. And then now it's like it's time for me to come out and not hide behind the music, because it's not just about the music, right? So if I want to build a community, I have to come out first. I have to come out myself. But there's also this part of it that's like reluctant because I'm so comfortable hiding behind the music, and I feel safe behind the music. And then now I have to come out and I have to go on YouTube and go on Twitch and all that. So there's a part of me that's excited, and there's the other part of me that's like dreading it. And I'm like, do I have what it takes? Can I really do this? So
Yes,
that's
you
the
can do
part
it.
that
Yes,
is
you
like
can do it.
feeling
Yes, you
lost.
can do it. It is integrated within you in according to your chart. You know what you know and present it as you. Just be you.
Yeah, so that's also the biggest part. I've done it in the past. We were this whole presentation thing and image thing. It didn't work. I felt very exhausted and depleted because I've always been an outlier. So I don't want to pretend to be like a normal person. So I'm like, for the first time in my life, we're just gonna go out and like, this is me. I'm like this, so at the tribe that comes,
I know
comes.
the feeling because I get, if I'm talking to you, for example, in a reading, I'm fine on YouTube. But if I try to make a clip or record
Oh,
something without a person there, it doesn't, I don't know what to say.
yeah. That was
So I
weird.
understand it completely. But your time is now. Do not worry about the presentation, just do it. You have God's energy in you. It's divine. Your work is divinely inspired. And
Yeah.
right now, with the trine between Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, and where it's positioned in your chart, the timing is perfect for you.
I
It
I
will
I
be
I truly
successful.
felt like it was the divine who asked me to make mental health music. It wasn't my decision. It was not. Yeah.
It's not of you.
it was asked of me, and I was happy because I'm like, yeah, it aligned with my skills, my interests.
Yes.
And no one has done it, and I'm so strangely perfectly suited, between the two worlds of the intellectual and the artistic world. I'm qualified in both. So I felt like, yeah, I'm called to do this work. It's not my work per se, but I'm called to do it, and I'm very happy to do it. But because there's no one to like, oh, how do I do this? This is a new path, and I'm just charting myself. So sometimes I feel like tearing my hair. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. I'm always just going by the feel. This album, this song, this track, is it correct? And I just feel yes, and then I go.
Joy, when you feel that, ask yourself a clean question. What do I know about this energy now? And that's like what? Those are two clean questions. And when you go inside, you get confirmation. It's only the mental waking world and the emotional world that's pulling you away from yourself. The fear of the mental world, but you don't live there. You get your data from the mental world and emotional world, but that's not the world you live in.
No,
So
no.
stay in the world you live in and speak from there.
I think that's also a part of me that's like, can I make sense to other people of the
Don't
world that
worry
I live
about
in
that.
and what I'm trying to share?
You can't worry about that because you're not going to make sense to the people who are not ready to see the truth. And what you're talking about is a truth beyond the mind. You're talking about frequency.
Yeah.
And so the people who connect to the frequency, they don't connect to the words. So if you let the mental waking world destroy the spirit of the energy of what you're communicating, it won't communicate. So you have to communicate from what you know, not what you think you know.
So recently, um I feel like I'm asked, so I'm always going by my feel, right? Every album, every decision is, I have to feel. If I don't feel, I don't move. That's it. That's how I
Right,
operate.
that's splenic.
Yeah, I don't move unless I feel it, and I feel it, and it's a kick that I don't even need to understand why. I just go, I obey, I surrender. So that's kind of how I've been living the last 1 year, completely differently from how I lived all my life. But it's scary, but it seems to work well. I don't have to know what's in front of me. I just need to feel it. I just need to know the instruction that I'm feeling. I do. So that's how
Exactly.
I feel like I've been doing my music, and it's strange, but it works. So I'm sticking to it. And I kind of like that I don't have to be responsible for everything because it's not my job. I'm just like a caretaker. I'm like a midwife is how I feel. I just carry this music that I'm asked, this music that is ready to come into this world to do the medicine that they're supposed to do. It's not my thing. I'm just a midwife. So that's how I
Right.
perceive my music. Because it's not my music, it's our music. I'm just like the midwife. But recently, and I've always associated with, it's a spiritual thing for me. My work is my spirituality. It is very true. But I felt like recently somehow I felt this, I'm not sure I'm still sitting with it, but I felt like I'm being called to explore Kabbalah. And I'm still trying to make sense because it's quite sudden and abrupt. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm still sitting with it, but I'm totally intrigued. Like, wow, uh, should I, is
I
that the
teach
thing?
Kabbalah.
and
I
you know,
teach it, integrating it with the charts.
and yeah, so that's the weirdest thing. And then this has been with me for like a week. I completely forgot about today's Zoom call because it was 10 months ago, right, when this was scheduled. So I saw on my calendar today, oh, and then of course I know what you do. I'm very familiar with your work, Dr. Elena. So then I'm like, what a coincidence. And I know there's no such thing as coincidence. What a coincidence. I've been like listening to Madonna's interview. It just came on my YouTube channel. I listened to her first interview in 11 years, and she was talking about Kabbalah. I even listened to it twice. And then I've been like bouncing back and forth about this. I don't know if I have enough time of the day to go into another thing. And then my appointment review. So it's like there's this strange thing that is stirring my pot, and I'm like,
It's
I don't
called
know.
synchronicity.
So if you so yeah, so I don't know what is this. I'm still feeling it. And yeah, so like, is this supposed to inform my music moving forward? Is this what I'm asked to go deep into in terms of spirituality, which is also my music? So I'm trying to like feel it right now, what's going on. But it definitely feel like the music, the journey. I mean, it's not just the music, right? It's the whole journey is going on, and it's a different journey now, and I can feel like the energy is different. It's new,
And
but
the energy is different.
is new, and I'm not familiar with this energy, but I know it doesn't feel the same anymore. So it's not the same music. It's not the same journey. I'm somewhere else. So, and I don't know where I am. So I guess that's the thing. I don't know where I am, and I'm trying to like make sense, and no one can
Uh,
make sense.
we aren't going to be able to make sense until the end of October or December. Do you know about Three Eye Atlas?
No.
Watch Stephen Burns, Stefan Byrne, or the James Webb Telescope. There's a body, we don't know what it is. It's either a comet or a craft that has been coming in the ecliptic, very big and unprecedented sun activity with lots of earthquakes on the Russian, you know, but north of Japan and in that cluster. And there were earthquakes today in Malaysia. I mean, in the Philippines again.
Um, um, so
Let
what
me
does that?
turn the recording off. Thank you for doing the YouTube. Thank you for doing the YouTube reading. Anyone who's watching, please subscribe and like, and feel free to comment or contact me at ehp@noblesciences.com. My website is nobleenergywellness.com. I'm going to, oh, I didn't, yeah, I did stop the share. Let's see. I'm going to stop the recording.